The 1988 World Series proved that sometimes you get what you expect out of life, but only after you wind through the wilderness a couple of times and turn the whole thing on its head. See, the series was supposed to be a yawner because it pitted the high-flying Bash Brothers Oakland A's of Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire fame against the stringy, scrappy Los Angeles Dodgers. Tommy Lasorda was a Dodger legend, and Orel Hershiser was maybe the game's best pitcher, but come on, no amount of National League-style tactical maneuvering would overcome the Athletics' firepower. We all knew it would be a minor miracle if this thing lasted even 5 games, and that's how it played out, sort of. All these years later, this is still remembered as one of the most dramatic World Series of all time, but the thing is, just about all the drama happened in Game 1. Here, let me tell you about it game by game, with the help of one most significant baseball card related to each contest. Okay, rules are made to be broken, especially when they're your own rules, and you have to break them just because they're too darn limited. That's definitely the case with Game 1 of the 1988 World Series, because you can't tell the tale with just one pasteboard. The story for this one began late in the regular season, and especially in the NLCS against the Mets. In particular, the Dodgers' big offseason acquisition, Kirk Gibson, came out of the series barely able to walk thanks to injuries to his left hamstring and right knee. Gibby had been the heart and soul of the Blue all season long, and many thought he was in line for the National League MVP award. He was, as it turns out. So entering Game 1 without their leader, the Dodgers looked like a long shot to make any noise whatsoever. And things pretty much played out as you would expect, with the A's scoring 4 runs in the second inning on a 2-out Jose Canseco grand slam against Tim Belcher. Luckily for the Dodgers, they had already and uncharacteristically struck first thanks to a 2-run dinger by Mikey Hatcher off of Dave Stewart in their opening at-bat. Dodgers relievers and Stewart pretty much shut stuff down from there, though LA managed to scratch out another run in the 6th on Mike Scioscia RBI single. Heading into the bottom of the 9th then, the A's were right where they wanted to be, up by a run with a fresh lockdown Superman closer Dennis Eckersley on the hill. Game over. And it looked like that through the first 2 batters too, as Scioscia popped up short and Jeff Hamilton struck out. Down to the final out, though, former A Mike Davis coaxed a walk from Eck. With pitcher Alejandro Pena due up, Dodger Stadium began to chatter at the possibility of a pinch hitter. Couldn't happen, could it? Tommy wouldn't do it, would he? And even if he wanted to, could he? And then it happened. Gibson himself hobbled to the plate, and chills shot down spines across America. Eckersley threw everything he had at the former Tiger, and Gibby worked the count to 2-2, then fouled off 2 more pitches before taking ball 3. Davis stole on that pitch, which meant Gibson could tie the game with a hit, but that still seemed like an impossibility. On the next pitch, though, the 8th of the at-bat, Gibson tied into Eckersley's slider and sent it flying deep into the October night, not stopping until it reached the right field bleachers. I was jumping around my bedroom watching that game, even though I hated the Dodgers, as a Reds fan. And I swear to this day that the natural theme music played somewhere outside in the dark Indiana night. These 2 cards wrap up that feeling as well as any could, with baseball's best closer, Eckersley, delivering his nasty stuff, while new LA hero Gibson digs in, wrapped up all in red, white, and Dodger blue on his 1988 Fleer. For a lot of years, Dodger fans held out hope for Mike Marshall to deliver major league power to the team. The big 6'5", 215-pound right fielder definitely showed some pop, reaching a career high of 28 home runs in 1985. But Marshall had a lot of trouble staying on the field, peaking at 144 games played in 1988. That timely, healthy season carried into the playoffs and put him in the batter's box against Storm Davis in the 3rd inning of Game 2. The Dodgers had already scored a couple of runs in the frame, courtesy of consecutive singles by Hershiser, Steve Sax, Franklin Stubbs, and Hatcher after a lead pop-out by Alfredo Griffin. All Marshall did was pull Davis's 0-2 pitch into the left field stands, giving LA a 5-0 lead in the game they would win 6-0. Fittingly, Big Mike is swooping through the zone with a powerful swing on his 1988 Topps card. The A's headed home for Game 3 of the series in a 2-0 hole, and their big bats just sort of laid flaccid on the side of the baseball road. It wasn't at all what anyone expected, and if Oakland didn't get off the snide soon, the unthinkable might happen. The A's bought themselves a sigh of relief by small balling a run in the bottom of the third to take a 1-0 lead, but LA came roaring back to tie it up in the fifth. It stayed that way deep into the ninth, and it looked like the game was headed into extra innings when Canseco popped up to lead off the inning. Next up, though, was 1987 American League Rookie of the Year, who had fallen all the way from 49 home runs that magical summer to just 32 in '88. After working the count to 2-2 against Dodgers reliever Jay Howell, though, Big Mac slammed a line drive into the left center seats to end the game. In that moment, he totally looked like that bashing young man on his 1988 Topps 87 record breaker card. Griffin, like Hal, had played with the A's in 1987, but came to the Dodgers in a humongous trade that, among other things, sent Bob Welch to Oakland that December. The veteran shortstop made it in just 95 games with LA in '88, but he drew the starting assignment for Game 4 of the Fall Classic. It was a contest that saw the Dodgers once again jump out in the front, and they led 3-1 after 3. The A's scored again in the bottom of the sixth, and then the Dodgers got something going in the seventh when Griffin drew a one-out walk off of Stewart. Alford went to third on a Steve Sachs single to center, and then Tracy Woodson grounded out to short as Griffin scored. It would be the insurance run the Dodgers needed, as the A's scored once in the bottom of the frame. Dave Henderson doubled home Walt Weiss, and then they were done. Griffin running in blue, as he's doing in his 1988 Topps big card, is the enduring image of Game 4. If there was ever one guy you wanted on the mound in October of 1988, when you absolutely needed to keep the other team from scoring runs, all the time, it was Orel Hershiser. After all, the dude had just broken Don Drysdale's record for the most consecutive scoreless innings and posted a 23-8 record with a 2.26 ERA. A few weeks after the World Series, that would be good enough to land a Cy Young Award for Bulldog. Before that, though, the Dodgers had a chance, 3, to close the A's. Hatcher got the party started early with a 2-run homer off of Storm Davis in the first, and that was mostly all Hershiser needed. He went the distance and struck out 9, giving up 4 hits and 4 walks, and 2 runs courtesy of Stan Javier Ribes on a sac fly and a single. By the time of that second bit of Javier magic, though, the Dodgers had already tacked on 3 more, and the Fall Classic was pretty much done. With 2 complete game wins, Hershiser nabbed the series MVP award and established himself as an October legend, just like his teammate Gibson. It's all blue skies on Hershiser's Revco card, which isn't the most gorgeous issue, but marries a bona fide legend leader with a box set, a staple of the 1980s hobby. Like this video? Then remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel, waxpackgods.com.